I'm here today at the TM Forum Management World Asia event in Singapore, talking with Mark Liversidge, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at CSL in Hong Kong. Mark, welcome. Great to have you here. I'm really interested in finding out the status of your LTE rollout. You're pretty much a world leader in rolling out the network. Let me know where we're at.
The LTE DC HSPA Plus network was launched at the event that you all saw in November, and at the launch point the network was commercially operational. The rollout of the sites for the LTE element continues and will continue to grow. At launch, as was our stated requirement, we had 50% coverage of Hong Kong, so we're now moving beyond that mark.
Is Hong Kong's topography and concentration of buildings an issue for LTE, and is that the reasoning behind the HSPA Plus joint network rollout?
Of course. I mean, clearly we're all aware of the capabilities of the LTE network infrastructure globally, and the HSPA Plus provides us with that enhancement in areas that LTE can't support, but again in that single integrated network. In
your presentation earlier today, you talked about making the technology invisible. What exactly do you mean by that?
As I mentioned in my presentation, over the last decade, since 3G appeared on the horizon, technology has been there, but in many instances we've all physically experienced it being a bit clunky and a bit of an inhibitor and actually invasive. With 4G and with the way that we move forward, both in terms of the network infrastructure and the device alignment with that infrastructure, remembering that at the end of the day, device is just simply the last leg of a radio network. It's a radio receiver, but that is simply the interface for capturing the content that the end user requires. So it's at the forefront of our minds that we want to make the interaction between the network and the device as seamless and as smooth and intuitive as possible, so that the end user can focus on the enjoyment and engagement with their content rather than working out how to get to that and sustain access to their content.
Another phrase you termed earlier today was devaluing the technology. What did you mean by that?
I think it's fair to say, if we're being honest with ourselves as a marketer in the industry, that very often we start at the position of having this bright, shiny new technology at each of the phases we've been through and heralding it. But then we've really struggled to give the consumer or the businessman a really strong value proposition that makes them part with additional incremental revenues for the service. It actually just seems to be a substitutional effect, which often means that we end up bringing a device or an application or an experience into market at around the same price point of the existing service or application or content in order to drive volume transfer. Which means we immediately start on day one by devaluing the investments that we've made in whatever that is, whether it be the network, whether it be in the applications, whether it be in the content. My biggest fear for the industry is that we fall into that same trap. We need to be very intelligent about how we bring forward the LTE experience to the marketplace, that we market it in a way that the consumer and the business person sees this as a definitively positive value proposition over what they have today, and that therefore it's an incremental gain on the experience they have today, and therefore that they're willing to pay incrementally for that experience.
Mark Liversidge, CMO from CSL, thanks for being with us.